Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this. Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
I would just replace all of my chairs with toilets and go on with my life.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Every time I say it, it's going to suck even more.
Everyone's idiots.
I am the dog.
I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I'm your host tonight, Caleb, and I'm here with Landen.
Hello.
And not Wes, as you may have guessed. The poor guy has micro tears to his Achilles tendon and is resting up tonight in preparation for surgery tomorrow. So send your wishes to Wes, listener.
Yeah. He has a good excuse this week.
That's a great excuse. Poor guy. All right. We're here to break down the tech news-ish for the past couple of weeks. And we're just going to launch straight into it. Landen, we got Google News. Tell us about ESPN Unlimited rolling out to the YouTube TV subscribers.
Yeah, finally. So this has been known since January when YouTube TV, I don't know what they announced in January, but a whole bunch of crap happened. Like they announced the plans were going to come out, which also came out later. And then they said ESPN Unlimited was, I remember what happened is when they announced a new partnership with Disney, because at the end of the year last year, there was like a 4-week span where we didn't have any ESPN or Disney channels on YouTube TV.
Oh, that's right.
And they gave us like a $20 discount for the month and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And then when they finally had an agreement with Disney, they launched this new thing where it's like, also you're going to be getting ESPN Unlimited if you have a package that has ESPN in it. So I'm like, perfect. But they said not coming until the fall. Oh, lovely. But I saw an article, I can't remember where, a couple weeks ago that said that they were starting to see people getting YouTube TV or getting ESPN Unlimited from YouTube TV. They were getting a notification saying this is now available. At that time, I hadn't got any notification. I went into, you have to go into your settings and like scroll down to like a sports area, and then it gives you the option to sign in with, or kind of link, that's what it is, link your accounts, your ESPN account with your YouTube TV account. You can't do it through the ESPN app, even though like there's an option in there to link whatever TV subscriber you have. You got to do it through the YouTube TV thing first, interestingly enough. So I did that. I went in there and I didn't have it. Okay, whatever. So then I waited a few days. I went in again, and then it was there. I'm like, sweet. So I set mine up. I went into the ESPN app, looked at something that was specifically only for ESPN Plus, because like you can watch some things on the ESPN app already, like, and I could with my YouTube TV account, but not any of the Plus stuff. So I went in, found something that was specific to only ESPN Plus, hit play, and it started playing.
There you go.
Amazing. So yes. And then a few days after that, I finally got the notification, hey, ESPN Unlimited is now available for you. I'm like, I know. I've been using it. It's great. So if you are a YouTube TV subscriber and you have a package, one of the plans in there that has ESPN channels, be on the lookout if you haven't already gotten this email, or you could just go into the app itself and look to see if ESPN Unlimited is available for you as an added feature, because with how much they're charging, you need to take advantage of all the benefits that you possibly can.
That's fair. Well, very good. Glad that's finally making its rounds. All right, we'll move on. Made by Google may not be as bad as last year, but it's probably not going to be better.
So, listener, I don't know if you remember last year, they had Jimmy Fallon host the Made by Google event.
That's right.
And it wasn't horrible. It was definitely and obviously geared towards just a random person that might be interested in Google stuff, not us, not your normal. If you're listening to this podcast, it wasn't geared for you, you know, because obviously it had Jimmy Fallon hosting it. And we were all wondering, okay, are they going to do something similar to that again this year, or did they learn from their mistake and just go back to the typical tech, announcement with phones and whatnot, and just the CEO or person over Android or person over Pixel, whatever, do that? No. Apparently, they are going to do something similar to last year, but Jimmy Fallon's not hosting it, which is fine. I mean, he did fine for what it was. You know, can't really complain too much there. But okay, this is not the person. I don't understand this person personally. I don't like their comedy myself. Never found this person to be funny. It's Trevor Noah. Now, I know a lot of people do like Trevor Noah. I, again, have never... I've only watched little clips of stuff that he did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just the little things that I've watched here and there. But I've never found Trevor Noah to be super funny or that entertaining. Like, whatever.
Here's the thing.
Just not my cup of tea.
I don't know if I've really seen any Trevor Noah stand-up, but I do like Trevor Noah as an interviewer. I think he does that quite well. And I've seen some very entertaining interviews that he's done. So maybe that'll translate here.
Yeah,
Maybe?
and for me,
know.
the Trevor Noah interviews that I've watched, the parts that are good are the person that he's interviewing, to me anyways. So,
well, right. But I feel like with a comedian interviewing somebody, if the comedian is trying to be the funny person in that interview, then that always falls flat, which is, you definitely see that sometimes. The comedian that is setting up the other person to be the funny person, I think, is the more effective interviewer. And I feel like that's what Trevor Noah has done well. Like his stint on The Daily Show, the bits that he was presenting just to camera, whatever, not that funny, not that fun.
Yeah.
Didn't, but the interviews, I feel like he did a lot better job of like taking the person he was interviewing and lifting them to like be the funniest, like most entertaining they could be. I don't know. That was the impression that I got, but I also haven't actually watched like a full episode of The Daily Show since Jon Stewart left it the first time.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. And even now, like the only episodes of The Daily Show that I have watched in the last little bit are the ones that he's on.
The ones with Jon Stewart. Yes.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart kind of is The Daily Show for me. Let's be honest.
So yeah, I'll watch. Well, I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing, but I'll definitely try. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think it's going to be worse than last year.
Probably not.
But I also don't think it's going to be better. But
probably not.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're going to move on to the next thing. For those of you that still use Google Assistant, the end is coming.
Yeah, so I'm not going to play taps yet. It's not officially dead.
It's not dead yet.
It's not dead yet. I guess you could use the argument.
I feel happy.
I feel happy.
I thought I might go for a walk later.
Well, Google's just about to hit this one over the head, as does happen in that scene.
Shut up, you'll be stoned dead in a moment.
Yeah. It's about to happen, and I guess you could use the argument, well, you played taps with OnePlus. I'm like, yeah, but that's fair. I'm not going to do it here. But Google did announce this last year that they were going to be shutting down Google Assistant. They said at the end of 2025. That didn't happen because at that time, Gemini was still a hot mess, and Assistant was better when it came to things that Assistant did versus what Google Gemini did. They didn't really work together very well. Gemini has gotten considerably better when it comes to that sort of stuff now, and it has rolled out to most people on any of your Google Home devices. Personally, I haven't set up Gemini on either of my Google Home devices because I don't want to. Because, I don't really use them for that, even for the assistant stuff.
Yeah.
As it is. I don't care if it has Gemini, but I might have to do that because they said September 4th, Google Assistant will be shutting down. I'm going to test that theory and see how long it goes on my Google Home devices.
There you go.
Because I'm curious, for one, and also I I don't want to set up Gemini on these devices. Not that it's going to affect that much for how I use it, but I still would just rather keep Google Assistant,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. We'll play taps when it actually happens.
Yeah.
So they're
Oh.
planning the funeral right now, anyways.
Yes, there you go. They're planning the funeral, which is rude to do before you've actually killed the person, but
Yeah.
that's big tech for you these days.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our last piece of Google news, YouTube Premium is getting an extra perk.
Yeah. So this was one that I kind of wish Wes was here. Wes, you better be listening because this is something for you since you use YouTube Premium. So if you do pay for YouTube Premium, I'm sorry because as we announced about a month or so ago, it did go up in price about $4 a month for depending on your plan, which was unfortunate. But you are now apparently going to be getting Peacock Premium as part of your YouTube Premium experience.
Oh joy.
Now, I find the naming of this version of Peacock strange because you would expect Peacock Premium. That must be like their nicer, no ads version of no.
Oh,
It's the ad-supported version of Peacock, which by itself retails for $11 a month, which also seems high for me for an ad-supported
that's
version.
Highway robbery.
Yes.
So gotta say.
The fact that YouTube Premium subscribers will be getting this in addition, like just as an extra bonus, okay, you don't have to spend the extra $11 a month. Again, it is the ad-supported version. I don't know if there's an option to pay a difference to get non-ads. I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah.
I hope. Maybe.
That'd be nice.
I'd be shocked if there was because, all these companies want their money. If they're going to be like, well, if you want the non-ad support, you got to pay the full price. That would just be rude and par for the course.
Oh, what is worth watching on Peacock? I guess Yellowstone stuff or something?
I mean, they've got, I don't know about like any of the newer shows because I don't watch a lot of new stuff on NBC or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like they got The Office, Parks and Rec, Community,
that's
Yellowstone.
true.
Like some of the older shows I would be perfectly fine with because I like those. I like The Office. I like Parks and Rec. I've actually never watched Community, but I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. But I feel like shows like that are old enough that at this point you could just like go buy the used DVD sets of the entire show and it would cost about the same amount as a year of paying for this subscription. And
I mean,
then you just
I do have the first 6 seasons of The Office on DVD. I'm staring at them right now.
There you go. Yeah. Just finish off the collection.
Yeah.
It would cost less. Well,
it would.
That's I guess that is the world we live in, but
yeah. I mean, if you do have YouTube Premium, at least you have access without having to pay $11 for ad-supported NBC shows.
That's wild. You have to pay $11 and they still show you ads. That's psychotic.
It's TV.
My gosh. Well, it's cable. I don't know.
Yes.
Actually, there's gonna be.
It's one thing if you're watching live TV and there's ads.
Yeah.
Because obviously but if you're watching stuff that's not live, like it's on demand stuff and you're paying for it, there should not be ads.
Well, so back in the day, cable was originally ad free. You were paying a subscription for it. So you didn't have to watch ads. That's what cable was. This is so I actually have a video that is almost complete, listener, for our tech YouTube channel that talks about streaming and just kind of the streaming landscape as it is right now. Suffice it to say, this is not the first time we have seen entertainment go through this cycle of just and we're just going to shove ads into everything. So hopefully there will be a solution in the future that'll get rid of that, but we'll see. All right. That's it for our Google News this week. We skipped Apple because I don't want to talk about Apple. We're going to skip Microsoft because Wes is, having surgery. We're going to go straight to some general tech news. First off, this is kind of less news than a PSA. Stop panicking about super AI models breaking quote unquote containment. Okay, listener, the media right now, the the companies that control the media conversation, most of whom are social media companies, most of whom have some kind of giant AI model that they're wanting to push as being the next big thing in technology, are all walking this narrative that over the past month or so, we've had multiple super advanced, highly intelligent, quote unquote, just air quotes around all of these words, I swear, models that are breaking out of containment and going and hacking competitors' websites and stuff like that. And they're like, oh no, these are so dangerous. These are so scary. The more you look into these things, listener, the more you realize that one of two things is happening for pretty much every one of these instances. Possibly both. Either the quote unquote containment that they're talking about is literally them just hosting the thing on a publicly accessible web server, or there's no containment and they specifically gave them access to the resources that the model would need to go and gain access to somebody's stuff, and the model is just doing exactly what they told it to do because they want to drum up press.
Yep.
That's the pessimistic version. I think the more likely is the first, that the people who are running these experiments don't actually know what containment is, and they're just kind of goofing around, and stuff happens that they didn't expect to happen because they are, I cannot stress this enough, just goofing around.
Yeah.
And that's,
well, it's funny because a
lot
of these companies are like, oh, this is actually they're more excited than they are concerned, because they're like, we're learning things that we didn't know this could do.
Well, the researchers are feeling that.
Yeah.
But then there's the marketing people and the executives that want it to look like it's scary because they want you to think that this is an incredibly powerful tool that they have, and they're just barely keeping the reins on to stop the singularity from sending us all into oblivion. No, it's not that. It's nothing like that. They're just drumming up hype. Literally, this is if you look at the way that Marvel has marketed the next Avengers movie, Doomsday, for the past year, with the stupid individual teaser trailers as the previews for only some movies and not others, and dropping these little hints and pictures of empty chairs for the cast and that kind of thing. It's hype, right? It's a hype machine. We have seen the hype machine in movies and TV. We recognize the hype machine when we see that stuff. As an Apple customer, it's the reality distortion field, right? I know what drumming up hype looks like. That's what this is. This is the AI company version of drumming up hype. And anytime you see anyone from an AI company saying anything about how dangerous the AI models are, grain of salt, pound of salt, giant mountain
seriously.
Of salt. They have a vested interest in you taking them seriously when you really shouldn't, because the simple fact of the matter is they have a machine learning powered predictive model that's been trained on the entire content of the internet, which makes it good at a few very limited things and bad at pretty much everything else. And they're just trying to get you to assign more value to what is essentially a fancy chatbot than it actually deserves.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. So anytime and it's going to happen again. This will happen again and again and again and again. Just so you know, don't panic. Don't worry about the super AI models. And honestly, it's not worth worrying anyways, because if it is, in fact, the singularity, we're all going to be dead in a week anyways, and it doesn't matter. And there's no sense in getting stressed about it right now, because there's nothing you would actually be able to do at that stage. But just to be clear, that's not the case. This is not close to the singularity. None of these things are remotely, quote unquote, intelligent. Like I said, they're machine learning powered predictive models.
Yep.
That's it. fancy chatbots. That's all the LLMs are. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So there you
Listener, like, if you want to, I found a good, relatively decent resource when it comes to, like, not necessarily calming myself, but like just not being as concerned about AI, especially as the media or these CEOs and marketing companies want you to believe about AI. Listen to the Daily Tech News Show. I mean, yeah, also listen to us, but you know, we're these guys, like, they're not in the AI industry, but they follow it really closely and they know what they're talking about, and they don't cover it every day, but look at episodes where they do, and you can listen to them and be like, it's actually made me less anti-AI, anti-even data center for that matter. Some data centers I don't want, depending on where they're putting them, because some places just don't make sense for a data center. Some places do, some places don't.
Anywhere that is a desert, don't put data centers. Why are you putting data centers in deserts? That's a terrible freaking idea.
A place that's hot with no water, don't do that.
That's a bad idea. What do you...
But, like, and they have, like, one of the hosts on Daily Tech News Show that's on there every once in a while, he has a dedicated AI podcast. I haven't listened to that, but that might be another good resource. But again, like, they have they tone everything down, basically. They dumb it down to enough that you can understand what is actually happening in the world of AI. And I mean, they're still concerned about certain things, as they should be, because there's obvious reason to be concerned about some of this stuff, but it's not generally the stuff that these companies are making you want to be concerned about.
Exactly. Don't be concerned about what the companies say you should be concerned about. Be concerned about the companies. That's the key thing here. Like, the technology is at worst stupid. Like, it is at worst not functional, which is kind of the case for the vast majority of technology. At best, it is like somewhat useful for collating large data sets that makes it really handy for research and, academic pursuits and stuff like that. And can also be helpful for, like, just combing through extremely large data sets and finding noteworthy pieces of information inside of them. Which, okay, that has its use cases. The technology is not actually new. I don't know. We've been talking about, I don't know how far back in the podcast you would have to go to find the first time we mentioned machine learning being built into a processor so that it could be used for, recognizing stuff inside of images. But that's what AI, quote unquote, does now. It just does it better than it used to. But that was, I don't know, 2017, 2018, when we were first talking about Google Lens doing stuff like that.
Well, honestly, you could, I was going to say, you could go back to the very beginning of the podcast, because that's when the Pixel 1 was first announced.
Yeah.
It had machine learning. They just didn't call it AI. It was called machine learning back then. It's the same thing.
The same technology.
And, like, it had machine learning for their Google Photos. That was their big shtick with the Pixel phones, was the photography, and Google Photos itself was using machine learning to make your photos better.
Yeah.
And that's been the thing. It's the same thing. It's just now they call it AI.
Exactly.
And make it sound like it's the best and worst thing to ever happen to the world.
And like,
it's neither of those things.
To be clear, listener, the machine learning technology that we had back then was not in any way the start of a path that leads to artificial brains, right?
Right.
It was not that, and it is not that now. The technology has gotten way more sophisticated. It runs a lot faster and has been trained on larger and much more sophisticated data sets, which makes it better at the same things it was doing then, but it's still only good at doing those things. And everybody trying to shove it into a whole bunch of totally unrelated use cases, they're just trying to cash in, right? Like, the technology there's nothing inherently wrong with the technology. It's the same, just better, just improved. It's 10 years better than it was 10 years ago, but it hasn't fundamentally changed in 10 years. And the people who keep talking about it like it's this new generational leap forward and stuff like that, it's just not. But the thing to be concerned about are the people who say that it is. The people who are pushing this into every product possible, despite the fact that it doesn't belong in 99% of them. The people who are making like gigantic policy decisions and pushing for stuff at like a government level and at community levels, trying to completely upend entire communities over a single data center or something like that, despite the fact that there's no actual benefit to doing that. Like, those are the people to be concerned about. And the companies. Like, be concerned about the company. The technology itself, it's not gonna ruin your life. It's not gonna... But the people pushing it might just do that. But the tech won't. So, it's the whole thing. The whole thing. It's just...
that's the reason why Apple doesn't have Phil Schiller talking about Apple Intelligence, because if he did, he would be making it sound like it's the best thing since anything.
Yes, courage. That we will continue on this podcast to tell you about AI stuff in the light that it should be taken, and that light is currently ignore everything that the AI companies are telling you. They're just trying to drum up hype around a product that they can't figure out how to sell because it's useless for all of the things they're trying to sell it for. Like, let's talk about Google Assistant. They should have just made a better Google Assistant. Gemini should not exist. They should have just taken the Google Assistant, the things it was already doing, and made it better at doing those things. That would have been a super useful product. But that's not what they did. They decided to make it, I don't know, draw pictures for no reason. Anyways, we're going to move on. The Galaxy Fold 8 is proving to be super popular.
Yeah, not that this should come as a surprise to anybody that listens to this podcast, because for as much as we could, we kind of raved about the Fold 8. This is the regular Fold 8, the passport-shaped one that's not worth buying because it's $1,900, but the one that if you're going to spend that much money, that's the one to get right now. But it's apparently it's been breaking Samsung pre-order records.
Wow.
Like, apparently this article I'm reading on Android Police says Samsung received 1.44 million pre-orders of the Fold 8 and Flip 8 in 7 days. That's in South Korea. One country.
Wow.
And it says that's the highest number of pre-orders the company has ever received for any of its phones, including the S series or Note series.
Dang.
Like, the Galaxy S26 this year got 1.35 million pre-orders. The Note 10 in 2019 was holding the record at 1.38 million. But the Fold, 1.44 million. And they were saying approximately 143 units per minute during the pre-order period, which is
pretty good,
crazy. And at time of recording, it's sold out. Like, meaning you can still go buy one. It's going to be pushed back when you get one, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this phone is super popular. And and there's been, according to carrier data, because that's where we can get most of this information, because Samsung, I don't think, has released numbers yet. If they do, I don't know if they do release these type of numbers. I know Apple never does. We just figure it out somehow. I don't know the magic that these people work to figure out these numbers. But according to some different carrier people, a lot, not all of them, but there's been a significant amount of people that this is their first folding device, is the Fold 8.
Yeah.
So they're switching from a traditional smartphone to the folding one because of the Fold 8. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that it is the 8th version. They've been looking at it. They know what they're getting into. But also part of it has to do with the shape and the thick, like the size, just the whole thing in general is, I think, probably finally the best of all worlds when it comes to these flipping, folding phones. Again, I did mention this last time we talked about this. The flip was always the one that I would go for because it goes to a smaller device to a regular sized phone. But now that they've got this one that's a smaller, really usable phone that goes to basically an iPad mini shape and size, I think this is now the default for most people, at least should be.
Yeah.
Because it's a smaller regular phone, but not too small that you can't do anything on it. Like you can use it as a regular phone, but then it as a media consumption device, when you open it up, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not overly big like the Fold Ultra, where it's like, oh, this is just unwieldy one-handed when it's open. So I think this is a great device, and I'm really happy that Apple is going to be going this same route when it comes to shape of a folding device.
Yep. I think that between this and the fact that the Odyssey is still selling out IMAX theaters weeks after release, I think it's pretty clear that the future is 4x3, and I'm here for it. Let's go back to 4x3 screens, and while we're at it, let's go back to CRTs. Why not? They were fun. I'm pretty sure my TV console wouldn't actually hold a CRT. I think it would just crack in half.
I mean, my TV, well, I don't have my TV's on the wall. I could not hang a CRTV on the wall.
No.
Any size. Maybe a 10-inch one I could hang on a wall, but
it's fine. You just knock a hole in the wall of your house, shove the TV through, and let the back end, which generates a bunch of heat, just dump the heat into the environment outside. It helps it stay cool during the summer. There you go.
When it's 100 degrees outside. Yep, that's a great idea.
It's probably fine.
No,
I'm sure that those things are waterproof back there too.
Of course. I mean, new ones would be, right?
Yeah, they'd have to be, because that's how people would install them in their houses.
I was also going to say I'm perfectly fine not having a TV that's a 20-inch square that weighs 50 pounds. I don't need that. Or actually, probably closer to 80 pounds at that size.
I was going to say, one of the best CRT monitors that I ever had was it was a flat screen back when flat screen meant that the glass wasn't curved. But that thing, it was like 80 pounds or something like that. And, I mean, it was big. It was like a 22 inch, 23 inch, maybe even larger than that. It was big. It was a big CRT, and for a monitor. And that thing, as I recall, wasn't technically 1080 because it was the wrong ratio for 1080, right? It was 4x3, but I think it had 1080 vertical pixels, equivalent pixels, because it was scan lines, not pixels, because it was CRT. Anyways, good times. Let's go back to. I'm listener. I'm joking. To be clear, don't at me. CRT was great for some things, I recognize, but I do think that we have better display technologies now.
What Caleb really wants is a CRT phone.
Yeah. No,
I
want is
would love to see
chapstick phone. We've been over this.
That's true. Although I wouldn't buy it, but I would love to see somebody, just as a concept at CES.
I would
Sony or LG make a CRT phone, because that would be hilarious.
It would be so funny, and I would love to see that. I wouldn't use
a touchscreen phone.
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
You put like a touchscreen layer, like a sensing layer over top of a CRT display. You could make that happen.
Yeah. Oh, I want this to happen desperately.
Okay. That is going to do us for general tech news, and I got to be honest, nothing good is happening in the world of gaming right now, so I'm just not going to talk about it. Instead, we're going to go ahead and jump straight to my personal favorite segment of the show, where we talk about the best people on the internet. That's right, listener. Doom modders. Now, I have a triple feature for you today, listener. Mostly because, well, these all did happen in about the past 2 weeks. They're also all not exactly a true, like, oh, Doom runs on everything kind of moment, but they're pretty fun. So, first of all, Doom on a modular synth. So, listener, if you don't know what a modular synth is, the 80s called, they want to teach you something. I don't know. It's a set, like a modular synth is essentially a set of synthesizers that control different aspects of a sound waveform that you can like physically plug into each other using patch cables in order to build and modify a much more complicated synthesizer sound. And you can run existing sound through a modular synth and alter it with the synthesizer, but you can also just use them to generate waveforms. Like you can start with just a synthesizer that literally just generates a square waveform at such and such a hertz, and then run it through a whole bunch, like just patch all these things into each other in order to modify and tweak it to get weird stuff. And they're really cool as just like a piece of audio tech. But they are also full of microchips and microprocessors these days.
Yep.
Microprocessors that are in fact powerful enough to run Doom. The detail here being that synthesizers don't tend to have what you would term as storage, or like RAM or display outputs or anything like that. So when we say Doom on a modular synth, what it actually equates to is all of the data for the game sitting on a laptop that's plugged into it. That data is then fed through a USB-C connection to the synth, which decodes it and allows you to use all of the dials and knobs and stuff like that to issue control inputs to the game, and then it sends it back out through a different cable to an attached display. So it's functioning as kind of the controller for Doom, with, I believe, also doing CPU duty. But I think the main thing here is they're using a modular synth as a controller to play Doom, which is weird. It's akin to folks that go and beat Dark Souls with a DDR pad. But it's not like a full-on, this modular synth is running Doom. You know what else? Yet. Give it time. You know what else isn't running Doom? Microsoft Paint. But turns out you can use Microsoft Paint as a monitor for Doom. It'll process Doom frames fed to it by a piece of software at about 35 frames per second is the maximum. So that's playable. Like that's a playable frame rate for a game. And so this is Microsoft Paint not running the game. It's not like Excel. They're not running the game inside of it. Or like apparently you can do that with PDFs and Word documents too. You can use all kinds of weird stuff in those. So this is not that. This is Microsoft Paint displaying Doom in sort of the same way that you can use TextEdit. We've talked about this on the podcast before. Somebody made a project where you could output Doom to TextEdit and it would draw the frames in ASCII art, which is hilarious and wild. And that's kind of what this is, just with better graphics, essentially. So we've got a controller for Doom. We've got a monitor for Doom. Now we need a computer to run the thing. Doom came out in 1993. The Commodore 64 came out in 1982. And for the decade between those two things, the Commodore 64 was one of the premier PCs for playing games. Tons and tons of awesome games were released for the Commodore 64. However, the Commodore 64 did not have a graphics engine capable of doing 3D graphics. That just wasn't a thing. Hardware was not capable of it. And so Doom was obviously never going to run on a Commodore 64. And, the Commodore 64 was discontinued literally the year after Doom was released, right? It's just too much of a gap between those two things. Until now, when a guy actually has got Doom running on the Commodore 64.
Nice.
There is a caveat. It is not actually Doom. It looks like Doom. Basically what he has done is he has taken, because like Commodore 64 kind of existed in the time period before first-person shooters were a thing, the time before Wolfenstein 3D sort of invented the genre, and Doom then popularized it. He had a previous game that he had built that was essentially the concept of a first-person shooter with the technological limitations of the Commodore 64. And then he took that base game and reskinned it and added a bunch of new technology and features to it to turn it into Doom. But it is not Doom's source code running on a Commodore 64, unfortunately. That is still impossible. But it is a game that looks and plays like Doom running on a Commodore 64. So it's like I said, these are all kind of close to like, oh, this is Doom running on a random piece of whatever. We've got a controller for it. We've got a display for it. And we've got a computer that is running a thing that looks like it, even if it isn't technically. I do just still appreciate the effort that these folks have put in. And, it's in the spirit of Doom modding. I think it's pretty great.
Yes, that is great.
So, there you go. That is, I guess that brings us to kind of the finishing capstone of our podcast episodes lately, where we spend some time talking about the bright side of life.
Welcome to the bright side of life. Hey! Hey! Jumping!
Now, Wes is first on this list here. I'm going to assume that Wes's bright side is probably going to be painkillers for the next little while.
His foot is going to get better. That's the bright side. Eventually.
Modern medicine. Let's hope that turns out to be a bright side. Okay. So I'm going to go next. Bright side of life this week for me was last night was the Drum Corps International Finals. Listener, if you have been paying attention to the podcast for a few years, you have almost certainly heard me and Landen mention this.
Yeah, every August we always talk about it.
Yep. And in fact, we basically record an entire separate episode of a completely different podcast every August just after finals. And we did, in fact, do that before we started recording this tonight.
Yes.
But yeah, DCI Finals was last night. It is like, I don't know, Drum Corps International is technically a music education program, but it is also technically, quote unquote, marching band, but professional, sort of.
Yeah.
Nobody's actually getting paid to do it. So
no, they're paying more money to do
yes,
it.
they're paying to do it. So maybe not professional, because again, it's technically an educational thing. But it is, you've seen your high school marching band or whatever, you've seen the band at a college football game. It's that, but like a bajillion times better. And It's really fun. Like, I enjoy doing it. It's my family's Super Bowl. I go to Super Bowl parties and I eat food, and that's it. I do DCI Finals. I have all the food that you would normally have at a Super Bowl party. We do really enjoy going all out for that. But I actually watch the the event on the football food instead of just eating the food. So that was last night. It was really fun. Blue Coats won. Blue Devils took second, and Crown took third. But I think maybe the most notable thing actually about the whole weekend was the prior weekend, the world class finals. The Utah Corps Battalion took second.
Yeah.
So that's like
they're
impressive.
They're getting better, like considerably better every single, like they're going to be world class in a couple years. I guarantee you.
It's to the point where I
good.
fully expect them to, because, the winners was the Blue Devils B Corps. They win.
Right.
It's either them or Vanguard cadets, I swear, every year.
Yeah.
But within a couple of years here, like Vanguard cadets and Blue Devils B, they could very well be competing with everyone else at actual PANS DCI Finals in, at the very least, prelims. They may not make it to semifinals for the first few years, but they're getting better at a fast enough rate that I'm honestly really interested to see. Like, we could be seeing a Salt Lake City based core in finals in like a decade or so. So that'd be neat, but I'll probably still be watching it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Probably. What are you talking about? We will be still watching that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I was being a little unnecessarily soft on that. All right. Landen, take it away.
All right. My bright side of life this week is a new camera that I got. It's called the Camp Snap 2. Listener, if you've heard of Camp Snap, you probably know a little bit about what I'm talking about. This is not like a high-end camera at all. It costs $75, but the benefit, or like the thing with this Camp Snap brand is screenless digital cameras. So they do, it's like kind of a throwback is what they're, like a vintage type throwback is what they're going for. So like, it's a digital camera. They also have a digital video camera. And like the camera, like the photo camera looks like your old style, like it's got the leather strap on the front, like an older film camera is what it looks like. And it's great. Their video camera looks like an 80s style, like it's got the pistol grip handle, like video, like you have to, like all of these, again, they're screen free. You have to look in the viewfinder to actually know what you're taking a picture of or recording with the video camera. But they're great. This new version of the base, they have a Camp Snap Pro, and then this one's the Camp Snap 2. It's just their base version. Again, $75. It's got 6 different filters that you can take pictures of. I'm trying to remember all the different, like what they call their filters. Let me see. They've got their standard one. They've got a vintage 1, vintage 2, vintage 3. You know, great names, obviously. They've got a black and white filter, and then they've got an analog filter. And all of these make it, they look very similar to an older film style camera. So if you don't want to spend the money to buy a film camera and don't have anywhere to develop the film because it's getting harder and harder to find places that still develop film.
Yeah.
And also film cameras are strangely ridiculously expensive nowadays because they're getting popular again. And yeah. But this one, again, $75. It's got all these cool filters on it. It's made, like, they've got a kid-friendly lock setting they called Camp Lock, where it's got a door on it that you can access the SD card on there and certain settings. You can lock that up so they can't access that stuff, so they can't change different settings on it. And you can also lock up the filter button so it'll stay on one particular filter unless you have to hold the filter button for 10 seconds. Then you can switch between filters, or you can leave it unlocked and switch between them a lot easier. But it's really cool. It comes in a variety of colors, including Caleb's favorite, the plastic transparent colors.
I'm
They've
just
got
looking at those right now, in fact.
Yeah. They've got a pink one, an orange one, the MAC colored Bondi blue that everyone loves, and a green. I ended up going with it's called Sunbeam Yellow. It's that older film style look. It's got the leather, like, and it's not leather, but it's like a faux leather feel. Like it actually feels like a different material from the rest of the camera. Like it's not like heavy duty by any means. It's all plastic for the most part, but it's just fun. It says you can do up to 500 shots on one charge. It comes with a USB-C to USB-C cable that you can get stuff switched over to your phone. Like you just plug from the camera to your phone and you can import the photos off of it to your phone. I can't do that because I still have an iPhone 13 that's Lightning, and I tried. It does not work over a Lightning cable, unfortunately.
Dang it.
So I have to do it through my computer. That's fine. Not a big deal. But I took it this weekend. We went to a rodeo this weekend, and I'm like, I'm going to use this as my primary camera I don't think I'm going to ever do that again just because of what it is. And there are some things I still want a better, my phone camera is definitely better, obviously. Yeah. But this was fun to use and it got some cool pictures. There was one picture that I took of my kids that we were under a canopy in the stands for the rodeo. It was still light outside, so I didn't use the flash that's on this camera, which it does have a flash. I didn't use the flash, but my kids are all really dark and the background is good. It's not washed out by any means, but in the shadows, it is really dark. I can't see their faces, so I got one photo that didn't turn out, but that's, again, I took about 60 photos yesterday while we were at the rodeo. There was the fair going on, so we walked around, looked at all the animals. I took some pictures of that. I got some pretty decent shots out of it for what it is. I was happy with most of them. Again, I don't think I'll do it where that's the goal is to just use this camera as the camera that I take pictures with. But for certain shots or for different stylized shots that you want to get that, for lack of a better term, and what they're using, vintage look, it's a great little fun camera. And for $75, it's not that expensive either. Again, this isn't something that you want to use as even like a secondary backup camera. It's not meant for that. It's meant to be fun. Like the idea behind it, the Camp Snap brand is like, they say, send it to your kids when they go to summer camp, It's something like that. And it makes it so they're not just, they take a picture, look at it, take a picture, like they're not obsessed with the pictures that they're taking.
Yes.
They're still in the moment, but they want to take a picture.
Exactly.
And it's easier than a film camera. They're not going to accidentally open up the back and ruin the whole roll of film, which I have done.
You take the picture and you remember it later when you go to offload the picture, right?
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
It's so that you're taking pictures to make memories or to record memories, not the pictures becoming the memories. Yeah, no, I actually, like, I'm looking through this and it's basically those cheap garbage Chinese cameras that they have in the checkout stores or checkout stands at places, except somebody actually put a decent sensor in it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's not a horrible. It's an 8 megapixel sensor in the V2. It's not like the Pro has a 12 megapixel sensor, but the videos I've seen comparing the two, honestly, they're not that much different. Which, to be fair, you're not going to get, unless you're going you're getting a dedicated camera that's got a 1 and 1.5 inch sensor in it. Going from 8 to 12 in this type of product is not that big a deal.
Much. They're tiny. They're phone sensors, to be clear.
Yeah,
but phones can take really good pictures if you put a decent sensor in it, and actually have okay software, which it seems like they do. So no, that's really fun. I had not heard about this product. I kind of love it.
Yeah, I can't remember how I heard about it, but once I did, I'm like, ooh, this looks like a lot of fun. I might have to get me one. And so I did. Yeah. And even my sister, who is a professional photographer, like that's what she does to make money. And she got one just for fun. She has a nice DSLR camera with multiple lenses, but this one she got just, to have for fun. It's something. She also just collects cameras. So there's that. But, it's, like I said, it's a fun little, not a toy, because $75 for a toy is not cheap, but $75 for a decent camera is relatively cheap. And I like, it also has it, like you can put a tripod on it. So it's got a quarter 20 thread on there. So you can attach to a tripod if you really want to. I don't know why you would do that with this, but you could.
Yeah, it seems a little redundant, but whatever.
It does have the ability to put 30.5 millimeter lens filters on it. Like it's got threads on the lens area. So you can buy lens filters for it if you don't want just the standard filters that are built into the software. You can do that. I for some weird reason, I did look up lens filters just to, see. All the ones that I saw were more expensive than this camera. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But again, it's just a fun little camera. It came out. I got some cool pictures out of it. My kids are going to have a ball with it. I'm excited to use it. Again, for the right moments, the right scenarios. It's just fun.
Very good. All right. Well, listener, that brings us to the end of this episode. Unless, Landen, do you have one more thing?
Yahoo!
Aw, there's Wes.
There's Wes.
We found him.
That's my one more. No, just kidding. That's not my one more thing. I do have one more thing. My one more thing this week, listener, you know, if you've listened for a while, I enjoy talking about electric vehicles, but it's not something that we cover very much on this podcast because we definitely focus more on the tech and gaming side of things. But the one more thing category is perfect for something like this. So, last year, we talked about Ford announcing a whole new EV platform that they were going to be doing in the future, where like they're going to base a whole set of cars on one I can't remember what they call it, their universal EV platform. That's what it's universal EV platform. That's what they called it. And the first thing that they were going to do with this was a small truck. And that's all they really announced. You know, they didn't really give us a whole lot of detail. They did say it was going to have a new production line. They're making a whole new way of making their vehicles instead of like your standard single line assembly line that they've done, like that Ford, you know, started with the Model T way back in the day. They're doing what they're calling a manufacturing tree, where there's 3 different lines that kind of go into one that puts all the pieces together there, and it's supposed to help manufacture it faster and cheaper. They said they're going to be making their own batteries in a plant in Michigan. You know, we knew all this stuff from a year ago, but now they've given us a couple of more details. Nothing, not a lot. Basically, they've given us a name and a price for this new EV truck that they're going to be coming out with. And the name is the Ford Fathom. So that's what it is. It's an interesting name. They did give a reason behind the name. It's a long whole article that they put out. I'm not going to read the whole thing here.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like they thought it was interesting, more or less.
Yep.
So, yeah. The price, this is where it gets extremely intriguing, at least for me. This is fun. So they're saying the starting price is $28,350. That does not include the delivery and destination fee, which you're going to also have to pay because you're not going to go to the manufacturing plant and pick one. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. But if you want to get it at a dealership or anywhere near you, you're going to have to also pay $1,595. But that still does put it just under $30,000 for the base model of this small truck. Now, other things that they have said that it will offer more interior passenger space than a Toyota RAV4, which, listener, if you've seen a Toyota RAV4, it's a compact SUV.
Yeah.
It's pretty small. There's not a lot of space inside there. So this is going to offer more than that, they say. How much more? I don't know.
I mean, you can seat 4 comfortably, 5 uncomfortably would be my guess.
Yeah, they are saying it is a 5-passenger vehicle.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for similar size, at least cab size, to a Ranger. I'm expecting more similar to the Maverick, which is
Probably
slightly
more like
smaller
a Maverick, yeah.
than a Ranger, but still bigger than your typical compact SUV.
Yeah.
I'd say probably a little bigger than what the Bronco Sport, like the small Bronco. I'd say maybe a little bit bigger than that, but I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's going to be as big as a regular Bronco because
No.
those have a decent amount of space in them. But the thing that gets me that I'm most excited about is that price for what it is. Because, listener, if you listened a few weeks ago, we talked about the Slate vehicle. That is a 2-passenger small electric truck. Now, it is obviously bare bones, like it lives up to the name of the Slate truck. It is no features, like roll up windows, no stereo, no nothing. Like it's bare bones, basic, small truck. This is going to be a 4-door, like I said, 5-passenger. It's going to have probably a similar size bed to what the Slate's going to have.
Maybe
Like,
a little bit
people are-
shorter, but it's unclear right now. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know for sure. Everyone's expecting about the same size as the Maverick,
Yeah.
which is a very similar size bed to what the Slate has. They are also saying it's coming early 2020, or no, reservations open in early 2027, expected to debut later in 2027. So sometime next year. And for the price, like, you're going to have most of your comfort features that you're used to in a base model vehicle. So, electric windows, a screen that has, they're also saying it will use Apple Maps as the dedicated navigation system, which is interesting to me. It is also compatible with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that gets around your potentially awful user interface that's going to be inside of there. But I personally haven't used Ford's interface in their vehicles a lot. From what I have used, it hasn't been horrible.
No, it tends to be fine, generally speaking.
Yeah. So that, I think it should be okay. But the fact that it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, great. That's what most people are going to probably use anyways. So that's good.
Yep.
They're saying it'll have a 400-volt battery, which not huge, but fine. Also, it'll be bi-directional, so you could you could plug your house in and use this as a backup battery if you needed to. You can also charge other things with it, which that's fantastic. That's something they did with the Ford F-150 Lightning, and everybody was super happy that they did that. And there are more cars now that are doing that bi-directional charging and whatnot because of Ford and what they did with the Lightning. So that's great. They also said the standard battery size, they didn't give a full, they didn't officially say what the battery is going to be. We're expecting roughly a 51 kilowatt hour battery with larger options, obviously, that'll be available. So the 51 kilowatt hours, everyone's expecting it to be right around that 200 to 230 mile range, which is very similar to what the Slate is expected to be at. So I see this, and I see the Slate, which is going to cost right around that $25,000 mark, depending on what you get. And you get this for just about $5,000 more, a little less than that. And you're getting a lot of those added comfort things that not everyone needs, but is nice. And you're also getting 5 seats out of it with a bed. Whereas if you're paying this same price, you can get 5 seats in the Slate. But if you have those 5 seats, you don't get the bed on top of that. So,
well,
yeah, I mean, this is definitely targeting a different, the person that absolutely, they're going to get the Slate, they don't want this because of they want the
I was going to say,
lack of features.
I can make that argument right now.
Yeah.
Manual windows means that it's way harder for the windows to break. That's a huge deal. Not having a giant touchscreen means that I control exactly how my infotainment in that thing works.
Yeah.
And also means that they can't change anything about my infotainment with an over-the-air software update. And also means that they can't bake the climate controls into the touchscreen. They're just physical knobs and dials on the dashboard, which is what I want.
Now, I will say to that, I have driven my mom has a Ford Bronco Sport, and I've driven it a few times. All of that stuff is not in the touchscreen on that. And that's only a year, 2 years old at this point. So at the moment, Ford isn't doing that, at least on that vehicle.
The Bronco is a little bit unique because they're trying to position the Bronco Sport like it's a baby Bronco, and they're trying to position the Bronco like it's a hardcore off-roading. I mean, it is a pretty decent off-roading vehicle. And so they're leaning into the aesthetic of buttons and switches a little bit more with the Bronco family than they are in some of their other stuff.
That's fair.
That being said, my parents do actually have a fairly recent Maverick, and the climate controls are at least the basic climate controls. So like, the knob to change the temperature and stuff like that, and a volume knob. Those are still actual knobs. So it's not entirely, so Ford is doing okay, it seems like, and hopefully they continue to do that. But the temptation to try and save money on a cheaper vehicle is going to be to not do stuff like that. So my most interesting thing about this is we do have a few spy photos of this thing in its camo that people have taken. And so you can't tell exactly what it looks like because they have the camo wrap on it. But yeah, you can see the proportions of it. It's a ute. Australia won. That's what, the Australians knew. And I have known for years that they knew. I'm annoyed it took the big three this long to recognize, especially Ford and GM, because they sold the best utes down there. It's a ute. It's a 5-seater sedan. It's a little bit taller than a regular sedan, I will say, but that has a bed on the back of it. That's what it is. It doesn't even look like it has much more clearance than your average sedan, right? And that's what a lot of these like small unibody trucks that we have, like the Maverick, is they're kind of just utes. But most of them have at least the ground clearance of an SUV. This one kind of doesn't look like it does. Obviously, body panels may be changing, right?
Right.
Still at this point, but it is kind of funny. Like, I look at this, it looks like a ute, and I love that. I am here for that. I have been wanting actual pants, like reasonably good ute as an option in this country for decades. So thanks, Ford. I'm happy you're finally bringing one. You could have brought the Falcon up here actually decades ago. Would have been awesome, but whatever. You do you.
Yeah. But I'm excited for this. I'm obviously very curious to see what happens with it in the future, and what, like, obviously there's going to be upgrades you can get with this thing, how much those are going to cost. It's very similarly priced to the Maverick EV, or not. They don't have an EV Maverick, but they have a Maverick hybrid, which is a plug-in hybrid, which it runs mostly on EV, but you have the extended range with the engine and whatnot. Obviously, it's not going to get the same kind of miles or range that's going to have, because that's got the battery and the motor. But I think if it does come in base model with right now, I think we could legitimately expect 200 miles and hope for closer to 250. I think they could get 250 for this price pretty easily. I would expect it to be closer to that 220 range. And that's, for this price, perfectly fine. And for the person that's buying the base model, perfectly fine. And then obviously you can get a bigger battery for more expensive. And then hopefully they can get it closer to that 300, maybe 350 range on a more expensive model. But I am genuinely excited about this, because I want to see more vehicles like this at this price point that are all electric, that people actually want to buy.
Yeah.
Because typically these cheaper EVs, they're fine, but they're not that good looking. They're really compact cars.
Well, they're not desirable a lot of the time.
Right. Like, people that are buying those cars buy it because they're electric and because they just need something to roll around town.
Yeah.
They don't have kids mostly. Like, it's like either young couples or older couples that don't, need to haul around a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like people or things or,
No, I am encouraged by some of the stuff that's been happening here. Ford has demonstrated they can make good EVs as well. And they've demonstrated that they can make good small trucks. Like, as much as people like to crap on the Maverick for not being a real truck because it's unibody and not a body on frame, it's you're splitting hairs. Fine, call it a utility vehicle if you want to. Like I said, the Australians had it figured out the whole time. But it has a bed. You can do truck things with it. It's not obviously a full-size truck, but it's as capable as the Ranger was back when it was first introduced. And, that's fine. A light truck We need those. And
Yeah.
if we're going to have, honestly, it's wild to me that Ford went for the F-150 for their first fully electric truck. It should have been something like this. So
Yeah, I understand why they went with the F-150 originally, because it is the best-selling vehicle in the
Yeah.
United States.
it's the
Like
brand
best-selling.
recognition and stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know, but this is what I wanted them to be doing, and it's nice that we have this and the Slate. Obviously, love to have competition in this space, because, like, could I get a really nice electric truck? Sure. Would I have to pay $100,000 and get a Rivian? Yeah, I don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
This is much more palatable, and the Slate
Yeah.
is much more palatable. I'm hoping that when the Tello comes out, it manages to stay kind of around this price point, because I'll be honest, out of the three, if it's in the same price bracket, I would take the Tello, because it's got the lift, the front gate that lets you put and, you know, turn it into an 8-foot bed and stuff like that. It's cool. It's cool. There's innovation happening in this space, and I love it. And I hope that when Ford announces this, we're not like actually announces it and shows us pictures and features and stuff like that, we're not disappointed.
Yeah.
I will say that we have now officially gotten to the point where EV announcements are stretching out way longer than they should. You know, back in the day,
Yes.
Yes. Ford would announce a new car, it would go for sale the next week. This is like, oh, we tell you about the existence of the thing months or like a year almost before the price of it, and it's going to be like another 6 months before we actually show it to you. I'm just like, guys.
I mean, the EV market has kind of turned into the gaming market when it comes to that, because
a little bit,
they announce a game 5 years in advance, like, hey, by the way, we're making this game. You can't have it for a long time. You might get it in 5. You might get it in 10 years. You might never get it. Who knows?
Oh, that you have accidentally foretold something horrible, because by that logic, the vehicle equivalent of GTA 6 was the Cybertruck, and we saw how that went. So GTA 6 is gonna suck. You heard it here first.
Well, speaking of Tesla, and they've announced what was their? Oh, they have a car that they announced like a long time ago that still hasn't come out.
Oh, the Roadster? Yeah.
The Roadster, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's never happening.
You know, it was also their first car, the Roadster.
Yep. Yeah, there's still one in space.
Yep.
They did do that. So Space got a Roadster before we
They
did.
did do that. Space got a Roadster before GTA 6. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. No, I would expect that once EVs become more of a regular thing, it will go to that. Oh, like, well, yeah, we got a brand new car and you can order it next week. Where, I mean, there are companies that do that. Hyundai is really good at doing that.
It's
surprisingly,
true. Yeah.
Chevy has done a really good job at doing that. Like Chevy EVs,
They just kind of treat it like another car, which is great.
Like if I'm ever going to buy a Chevy vehicle again, it's going to be an EV, because I don't trust their engines anymore after having an Acadia for 10 years.
Listen, their little 4-bangers are not too bad. I've got one of those. It's fine.
That's probably fair. But yeah, if I'm ever buying a Chevy, it's going to be their EVs, because they actually are like really, really good quality.
Yeah.
And yeah. But like at the moment, if I were to buy an EV, it'd probably be a Hyundai or a Kia or something like that.
I like
Because
the
they're
Ioniq
great
5
vehicles. Yeah, I love that one.
I love the Ioniq 5. That thing looks awesome. And you get the Ioniq 5N, which is supposed to be like fun and sporty to drive.
Yeah.
And is also a really sensible, like reasonable EV if you want it to be. And I'm just like, wow, Hyundai. Good job.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm expecting that to be the case when it comes to the, like, obviously companies that are just, I mean, I can't say Ford's just getting into the EV market, because they've had the Lightning for a while. They've had the Mustang Mach-E for 6-7 years at this point.
Yeah.
So they're not just getting into it, but this is a brand new way of doing EVs
and all that. Yeah.
And which does excite, like they do seem genuinely like dedicated to making electric vehicles in the future. It's just the ones that they have made, they're going off what they knew of vehicles in the past. They didn't start from scratch, which is what you really need to do to make a really good EV. You kind of have to start over.
Yeah. Well, with the Mustang Mach-E, they kind of did start over, but they
Right.
should have started
And-
even more over. I
Yeah.
feel like the biggest problem with that car is the Mustang branding.
Yeah.
I can think if they would have just called it the Mach-E and just been like, hey, it's the Ford Mach-E. Here it is. It's a sporty, like, electric SUV. People would have been like, oh, yeah, like the Jaguar F-Pace. This is cool.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Because by all intents and purposes, it seems like a really nice car to drive.
Yeah.
But
Problem is they can't make a car that's not Mustang anymore. That's
Right.
the only car that they have. And this
exactly.
I mean, it is technically a car. It's just, it's
Yes.
a hatchback, fastback, it's not a full-on SUV, but they may as well have made it like a Model S type SUV branded
Yeah.
vehicle. And it would have, I mean, it's sold fairly well anyways,
Yeah.
but it probably would have sold better if they took the Mustang name off
It just
of it.
had the stigma of the Mustang name and people being like, oh, it doesn't have a V8. And I'm just like, yeah, but neither does the EcoBoost. And that's most of the Mustangs y'all are buying. Like,
I was going to say, most Mustangs are V6s anyways.
it's all like, guys, calm down. But yeah, I think the stigma of that Mustang branding is probably the biggest problem with that car. Otherwise, seems great.
Yes.
All right. Okay, listener. That's actually the end of the podcast now. Thank you so much for joining us this week to go over the tech sphere that's happened in the past few weeks. We did not talk about everything, just the stuff that was good. There was a bunch of bad stuff. Everything's more expensive than it should be. AI is still stealing all of the RAM and storage in the world. And I don't know. If you happen to live in a desert, you're currently fighting to keep a data center from taking all of your water.
Yeah.
But, we didn't want to talk about that stuff because it's depressing. We're trying to not be depressed. Hope that helped you. Join with us next week. We'll go over it again. If you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, you can get a hold of us on social medias. You can find us on our website, callingallplatforms.com. You can send us emails. Those still work. They're honestly pretty cool from a technological standpoint, if you really think about it, at podcast@callingallplatforms.com. You can find us on YouTube as well. Like I said, there is a video that I'm actually working on that might come out at some point. Until then, you can also find us right back here on the podcasting app of your choice next week. So until then, bye-bye.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.